Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew. I'm living and working in New York City, the city that never sleeps. There's one habit I absolutely love: wandering the bustling streets of Manhattan in the afternoon. It's not just for exercise, but to feel the city's pulse, to observe and reflect on the flow of life constantly moving around us. Today, the New York weather is beautiful. Clear blue skies, cool air, perfect for a walk. And I'm so happy to be taking this leisurely stroll with you on this familiar street. On today's journey, I want to share with you a memoir that touched my heart deeply, the story of a neurosurgeon facing cancer. This isn't just a book, but an emotional journey about life, death, and the profound meaning of being human. We live in a world that constantly urges us to pursue success and happiness, but there's a harsh truth few dare to face. Suffering is an unavoidable part of life. So what happens when someone at the peak of their career suddenly plunges into the abyss of illness? When breathing becomes precious and life itself becomes a big question? When Breath Becomes Air is not simply a memoir of a doctor battling cancer, this is a journey to find the meaning of life and death, written by Kalanithi, a talented neurosurgeon, a neuroscientist, a husband, a father, and finally, a patient. The book teaches us about resilience, not the ability to avoid storms, but the ability to stand firm in the storm and find meaning, even when everything seems to be collapsing. Kalanithi was at the peak of his career, graduated from Stanford, Yale, about to complete his neurosurgery residency at Stanford University. At age 36, with just months left in his training, he received shocking news: stage 4 lung cancer. From being a doctor who specialized in saving patients, Paul became a patient facing death. What makes this book special is that it was written during the final months of Paul's life and published after his passing. Every page isn't just words, but the breath, the fading life of the author himself. The book is divided into two contrasting yet haunting parts. The first part is the journey to becoming a neurosurgeon. The latter part is the journey to becoming a patient. This contrast creates a perfect artistic structure, showing the profound transformation from being an observer of death to directly experiencing it. In the first part, Paul recounts his process of seeking answers to the question, what makes life meaningful? His journey began with literature, philosophy, then moved to medicine and neuroscience. This wasn't temporary curiosity, but a genuine thirst to understand the nature of consciousness, of life and death. When he became a neurosurgeon, Paul stood at the boundary between life and death. He shared, "My work at its core involves intervening in the brain regions that determine personality, memory, consciousness, the things that make us human." Unintentionally, this was preparation for his later journey. One of the most shocking and admirable decisions Paul made was returning to the operating room after his cancer diagnosis. To many, this might seem reckless, but for Paul, it was a conscious choice. He chose to live with meaning rather than simply extending life. This decision came from deep reasons. First, as he explained, work gives me purpose. It reminds me that I'm still a doctor, that I can still serve others. For Paul, his profession wasn't just a job, but part of his identity. Second, returning to the operating room allowed Paul to maintain normality in abnormal circumstances. While his body was being ravaged by cancer, doing familiar work gave him a sense of control and stability. More importantly, this decision demonstrated resilience in action, not letting illness define him, not letting fear dictate his decisions. Every time he entered the operating room, Paul wasn't just performing surgery, but affirming life.
But returning to surgery also brought significant challenges. Paul faced physical exhaustion, infection risks, and the mental pressure of being both doctor and patient. But it was within these difficulties that he found deeper meaning in his profession. Paul's decision became a powerful message about finding meaning in adversity. It reminds us that even in the most difficult situations, we still have the right to choose how we live and face challenges. In today's volatile world, the lesson about resilience from Paul Kalanithi is more valuable than ever. We learn that resilience doesn't mean avoiding difficulties, but rather facing reality no matter how harsh, finding meaning in adversity, maintaining life's purpose, and seeking connection rather than isolation. Paul Kalanithi passed away in March 2015, but his legacy continues to live. The book isn't just a farewell, but a greeting to life, a testament to the power of the human spirit. The birth of Katie, Paul's daughter born after his diagnosis, became a symbol of hope. Paul wrote to his daughter, "When you're old enough to read this, you'll see how completely I loved you, even knowing I wouldn't be here to watch you grow up." Finally, When Breath Becomes Air isn't a story about death, but about life lived to the fullest. A life that, though short, was full of meaning, passion, love, and courage. Our walk today has come to an end. If this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts with me. We'll meet again soon in our next adventures through New York streets with many more meaningful stories. Goodbye, and see you next time.